All right. Good evening, everybody. I'm not feeling the energy. More energy, more energy, more passion. Okay, let's do that again. Good evening, everybody. All right, we're getting there. Let's try it one last time. Good evening, everybody. All right. How are we all feeling this snowy evening? Good, good. All right. Well, before I continue, I want to beg us at the back to just come forward, if you don't mind, please. So the real latecomers will be at the back. So if you're at the back, please come forward just so the front is not looking empty. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So as we're moving forward, first I want to thank everybody for coming. Let's give yourself a round of applause. Yes. Thank you for making it despite our wonderful Calgary weather. And I also want to thank all those that are joining us through live stream. Let's just say, hey, hi. All right, so we actually streaming live on YouTube, right? We've had quite a few requests in the past of Black Professional Canada members that are not in Calgary, and they've always wanted us to live stream so they can be part of the event. So we're glad that we're able to do that this year. All right, so before I go on, I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional territory on which we are gathered here today. So Black Professionals Canada would like to acknowledge and thank the diverse Indigenous peoples whose footprints have marked this territory for centuries, such as the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Tusina, I'm sure I'm not saying that right, the Stoney Nakoda Nations, and the Métis Nation of Alberta Region 3. All right, so thank you everybody for coming. Good evening again. My name is Osaki Edunro. No, I'm not Japanese. I've had some people ask me that question. Some people actually look confused, like, why are you not? I'm not. I'm originally from Nigeria, very, very proud Nigerian. And I am the Director of Communications and Strategic Partnership here at Black Professionals Canada. We have been on for quite a while, and this is our 6th edition of our Black History Month. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ooh. Yes. And this year, our theme is Thrive Together, Community and Collective Growth. And that is something we're going to be talking about today quite a bit. We have some amazing lineup of speakers. I'm so excited to hear them speak. It's really amazing to see the room filled with so much talent, ambition, creativity, community. And tonight is more than an event. It's a reminder that Black professionals in the city are leading, are building, are creating, and shaping the future across different industries and businesses. And Black Professionals Canada exists because we understand that success does not happen alone. It happens together, when we come together, when we come as a community, and we try to figure things out together. So we're here to connect, we're here to learn from each other, we're here to celebrate excellence. Excellence through art. If you can see there some artwork. We have a wonderful artist here. We're gonna be introducing her shortly. We also have a wonderful singer that will be gracing us with her beautiful voice shortly as well. So we're here to celebrate excellence, we're here to celebrate culture, we're here to celebrate each other. And just wanna encourage you tonight, introduce yourself to someone new. Don't just stick with the people that you are familiar with, make new friends. Start conversations, build relationships, because the real magic of this room is not just on the stage. The magic might just be sitting right by you. So thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up for community. Let's connect, let's celebrate, and let's strive together. So that being said, I'm going to introduce our wonderful singer. Her name is Ejiro. Apologies, Ejiro. So Ejiro is a third-year student at Mount Royal University. BSET School of Business, majoring in supply chain management. She's based in Calgary and has been performing professionally since 2023 at various events across the city. She leads her own 4-piece band as owner, manager, and lead vocalist. She's a very multi-talented young lady. In June 2025, she won the Studio Bells National Music Center's Black Music Month Talent Expo, the first edition, yes, thank you very much. And her unreleased winning song, Moment, drops soon. So please follow her at Ejiro Sings on all social media platforms for updates and upcoming shows. So with that being said, let's welcome to the stage Ejiro.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. How are we feeling this evening? Okay, I love it. I love the crowd. I thought Black professionals were suited up, you know. Now this first song, I'm doing a cover. It's called Brown Skin. We love all skins, but tonight we're celebrating what? Black skin, brown skin. Just so you know, you can snap with it if you're not eating. And you can snap with it, and you can give a shimmer. You can stand also, okay? Your boss is in here. And if you're the boss, you're the boss. See, brown skin. You know I love your brown skin. I can tell where yours begins. I can tell where mine ends. Brown skin. Up against my brown skin. It's him every now and then. Whoa. Where are your people from? In Mississippi or in Ireland? I know your skin has been kissed by the sun. Your licorice. Oh, every time I see you, oh, something magnetic pulls me in. Magnetic pulls me in. I can't get So we sing. I know some people know it there. Sing brown skin. Oh, you know I love, brown skin. Say up against my brown skin. Help me say ooh, 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 ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh. If you're not a singer, don't be scared. Ooh, 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 ooh. I know we have power for singing. Oh, say every time I see your smile, it does something to us as singers. So that smile encourages us, and I still wanna hear the steps, yeah. Say ooh, 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 ooh. I love this. Ooh, 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 ooh. Thank you. Thank you so much. So that's the first song. It's a cover. Now the second song is called Tennessee Whiskey, Whiskey, Whiskey. Because it's Black History Month, although I believe it should be celebrated every day. Right? But we accept it. Thank you. But it's also the Lovers Month. It's a professional event, so you might not have your spouse here. But you can call them and be like, honey, how far now? Is this girl call you Drew? Used to spend my nights out in a ballroom. Liquor was the only love I know. But you rescued me from reaching for the bottom and brought me back to being too far gone. Oh, you're so. Isn't my piano player so smooth? Let's give it up for Chris, Mr. Chris Woods. Whiskey. Now, you know I love to interact. You're so sweet as strawberry wine. Oh, you're so as a glass of brandy. And honey, I'll stay stoned. Oh, and loving all the time. And my sister's gonna help me say, you're so sweet, that's all.
You're so sweet.
It's Tennessee whiskey. This is my mentor here.
It's Tennessee whiskey.
You're so smooth, smooth.
You're so smooth.
Thank you so much. So good. I see him in church. You're so as a glass of brandy. And honey, I'll stay stoned. Oh, and loving all the time. Oh, you're so Tennessee whiskey. You're so sweet as strawberry wine. Yeah. You're so warm as a glass of brandy. And honey, I'll stay stoned, loving all the time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope we're not going too fast. Perfect, okay. Now, who loves reggae in the building? I can see we're almost done eating, so if we could be upstanding, please. Yeah, man. Hey. I know it's a professional event. You sit down. I know we know this one. It's by Legend. It's called Is This Love? So please sing along with me, okay? You can snap, you can wave, you can vibe. Sing, I wanna love you. Treat you right. Sing, I wanna love you. Come on, every day and say we'll be together. With what? With what? With the. We'll share the shelter. Say on. We'll share the shelter, we'll share the same room. 'Cause Jah provides the way, provides the way. Is this a love? Is this a love? Is this a love? Is this a love that I'm feeling? Is this love? Is this love? Is this love? Is I wanna know now. I got to know, 'cause I say I'm willing and able. Come on. Oh, say I put my cards on my table. And I know I say I'm willing. Yeah, man. Rum, pop, pop, and I put my cards on. Is this a love? Is this a love? Is this a love? Is this a love? Is this? And I'm feeling. Is this love? Is this love? Is this? Oh, say sing I'm willing. Sing sing put my cards on my table. Is this a love? Is this? Come on, wave your hands. Come on, love that and you can walk with it, ladies. Is this love? Love that I wanna know now. I got to know, got to sing out. I'm willing and able. Sing out. Put my cards on. One more time, sing out. Oh my God, you sound so beautiful. Sing put my cards on. Is this love? Is this love? Is this great rhythm? I hope your bosses know this, right? They have superstars in the office. Is this love? Is this love? Love that I'm feeling. You can settle down. Thank you so much. Thank you. Now, we wish we could stay here for hours and hours, but like they said, my song Moment comes out soon, and you get an exclusive listen to the song. It was written by me, hopefully one day. It was performed by me, all vocals by me. This is the winning song, yeah, and it's a love song. People who know me from church, I try to sing gospel song. God said, we need you in that space. But it's called Moment. We have merch coming out soon. Big shout out to everybody, all the creatives in the room. Dara Arts. Yes, big shout out to T. Griffin. She did my cover art for my album. And my mother's right here. I love her so much. She styled me. That's my stylist. Thank you. So the song is Moment. And please don't ask me if I've been in love. Mommy's here. I said my heart had given up on love. I really did. Until you came into my life. Still waiting for him. Gave a new rhythm to my heart. I could face the whole world with you, with God. With you, nothing else matters. You're my friend and my lover. Forever starts tonight with you and with me. This moment is here. This moment is ours. We know that it's real. It's right in front of us now. We've got a long time to go. So baby, baby, hold me close. This moment is here. This moment is ours. We know that it's real. It's right in front of us now. There is nothing, nothing, nothing to fear in this love that we share. If you're down and I'm down, boy, I got you. Love your style and your sweat, you're so special. Your eyes pierce my soul, they're so gentle, divine. Our love is so holy. Wrap your arms around me, baby. Take control, I'm not gonna stop. I said, take control, I'm not gonna. For the husband and wives. Oh, this moment is here. This moment is ours. We know that it's real. It's right in front of us now. There is nothing, nothing to fear in this love that we share. This moment is here. This moment is ours. We know that it's real. It's right in front of us now. We've got a lifetime to share. So baby, hold me. We've got a lifetime to share. So baby, hold me close. I remain Adriel. Thank you so much. Thanks to Mr. Chris. Good night, everybody.
Please, another round of applause. She did not just sing, she performed for us, right? That was beautiful. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. You definitely give us the energy that we needed to start off. All right, before we get to down to our main business of the evening, I would also like to bring up Chidera. So Chidera we're having her for the second time, right? We had her last year, yes. She was so good, we had her again. So Chidera is a Calgary-based artist working across oil painting and digital media. Her works explore identity, memory, faith, centering the lived experiences of Black people with warmth and depth. If you've noticed, you know, the art we have here, even outside, very beautiful, very beautiful. She's been recognized with multiple awards from the Nigerian Canadian Association of Calgary, has been featured in multiple publications, including Black Art Magazine and Mount Royal University Alumni Magazine. We have a lot of Mount Royal. Kat, you should be very proud. Your alumni, they're doing amazing. So yes, she's collaborated with clients across Canada, United States, and United Kingdom, and her core desire is to tell people's stories, drawing from cultural heritage, personal reflection, and she invites her viewers into intimate narratives that feel both personal and universal. So please, just welcome to the stage, Chidera. Come on, come on, come on, come on. I'm gonna give you the mic. So Chidera, tell us a little bit about your inspiration behind your art, where we can get your art, and any other information that we need to know. Here you go.
Sure, yeah. So, hi everyone. Like she said, my name is Chidera Uzoka. I am, like she said, an oil painter, digital artist, all of the above. A lot of my art kind of stems from this idea that maybe some of you guys here are Christian, but for me, I believe that everyone is made in the image and likeness of God, right? And so a lot of my art stems from this desire to paint people, this desire to have people be seen through my art. And I do a lot of it through the perspective of me as a Black woman, right? And so you'll see a lot of these portraits here that I have. For instance, this one, Peace likes this one, but this one is kind of my exploration into being here in Canada, but also kind of rediscovering my roots. And this actually stemmed from me and my mom. We watched a lot of like Nigerian Nollywood romance movies. And so I wanted to kind of explore this idea of like the bride. And if you look, you can look up closely and see there's a lot of like these little symbols. And these are actually Yuli designs, which are used in southeastern Nigeria. And that represents, those little designs represents like the kola nuts, which is a very important part of a lot of Igbo celebrations. And so different things like that kind of work to tell a story within my pieces. And if you guys are interested in purchasing some of these pieces, the ones with tags on them are for sale. Some of them don't have tags because they're either sold or going to be put in another exhibition, but the ones that are tagged on them are for sale. You can scan the QR code. Also, there are prints, if this is like, oh, I can't afford this right now, but you still want to take something home. There are prints outside, earrings with my art in them too, just different things that I kind of like created. But yeah, I really love what I do. I love painting. I love just telling these stories through art. And I think that art is such a beautiful way to connect with people. And when I'm painting people, it's like I'm taking part in that creation that God has already taken part in it. So yes, so that's kind of like my idea, yes, behind. Yes, thank you guys so much. But yeah, that's kind of my thing with my art. And so yeah, feel free to look around. Feel free to, Laura, she's in the red shirt. She's gonna be helping me in the back, kind of with the prints and stuff. Chat with her. Take a look at the art. Feel free to go up close and look at everything. So yeah, I appreciate all of you guys, and yeah.
Thank you so much, Chidera. All right, so we are getting down to business. So I'm gonna call on Charles to introduce our speakers and get us down to business. All right, here you go.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you and welcome to our sixth Black History Month event. It's the sixth one. I remember when we started the conversation around bringing Black people together to support one another, mentorship, networking. What else were we talking about at that time? Career support as well. And it was just a random idea that a few of us in the room today, Osaki, myself, a few other people in the room had, and 6 years down the line, we're doing it, we're mentoring. Last year we had a number of mentees. So we do a mentorship cycle where we mentor people across the country. We're volunteer driven as well, so all our mentors are volunteers. And so we put out a post on LinkedIn and people raise their hands and say, hey, I'm looking for a mentor, and we'll pair them with people and they get mentored for 6 months. Grace is here. Hi. I've never met Grace before, but I reached out to her on LinkedIn and I said, hey, I found someone who's interested. I looked at, I stalk people on LinkedIn, literally. Jonah is here tonight. Jonah's here. We've never met, but I go on his LinkedIn page it's crazy how many times I go on your LinkedIn page. And so I just find people, and I'm, Black people that I'm proud of, and I see what they're doing, and I try to connect with them, and I try to find people who, like I said, Grace, I hooked her up with a young lady who was looking for a mentor, and Grace just said, yeah, I'll do it. We've never met. I met her tonight for the first time, so thank you for giving your time to support our community. But I digress. Let's move on. So tonight, we have some fantastic people who will be sitting down here with me to answer a number of questions. And what we found over the years is that there's a lot of value in speaking openly and vulnerably and raw and honest. And that's what people want to hear. We don't want to come into a room and someone tells us about the 10 best ways to be great at what you do, right? We hear that, there's books and all that, but what people want to hear about is how did you do it? Right? what exactly is your story? And hopefully that story is how we learn, how we grow, and how we apply true life experiences from people. So I've got 3 great people that will be sitting down here with me tonight, and we'll just be diving into their story. How did they get to where they are today? And hopefully someone in the room or someone online will learn something from it. And so I will start with David Bradshaw. So David is the president of Calgary Black Chambers and is a respected executive advisor and thought leader with more than 25 years of experience in customer experience, sales, and operations leadership. His career spans financial services, telecommunications, and outsourcing, where he has led large-scale transformations that's delivered award-winning results. A former executive with ATB Financial and ING Direct, now Tangerine Bank, a bank with Tangerine, by the way. David helped build service organizations recognized as the #1 in Canada by JD Power and the best contact center in the world. He's the co-founder of Bradshaw Bolton, a boutique customer experience firm, and serves as a strategic advisor to the Realizing Your Potential Association. Known for his practical insights and engaging storytelling, David speaks on leadership, inclusion, customer experience, and building cultures where people and performance thrive. Join me in welcoming David Bradshaw. Yeah, you're fine. Yeah, you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah, good to see you. Yeah.
As well. Yeah, I'll grab you. Microphone. Okay, that one's yours.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, let's keep going. Who's next? Okay, next up I have Jonah Shininga. Jonah is the co-founder and CEO of Wovio. Did I pronounce that correctly? Wovio, yeah, I don't know, I know, but yeah, I can spell it. I know your website, but I've just never pronounced it, yeah. An agentic AI credit platform helping financial institutions unlock credit for small businesses. Wovio has successfully raised over $4 million in venture capital. Bro! And currently oversees a $15 million credit portfolio designed to provide affordable credit to credit invisible and underserved entrepreneurs. Beyond his executive role, Jonah serves as a board director for the Canadian Lenders Association, the central hub representing Canada's $2.5 trillion lending market. A recognized expert in private credit and risk operations, his work is fueled by a singular why: the belief that true economic development begins with empowering the individual entrepreneur. Please put your hands together for Jonah. Sound check, 1, 2. Yeah, perfect. Okay, and that one. All right, I've got one more. Okay, Angela Cusero. Hi. Angela is the Director of Workforce Strategy and Inclusion at Manpower, Alberta, and a transformational leader whose work is expanding what opportunity looks like for diverse talent across the province. A proud Kenyan-born Canadian, Angela's journey embodies resilience, purpose, and the power of community. With a background in law and a master's in educational psychology, human relations, she has a unique gift for translating complex labor market challenges into human-centered solutions that create real pathways for people to thrive. Widely recognized for her leadership in inclusive workforce transformation and immigration integration, Angela advises industry, government, and post-secondary institutions on building equitable systems that open doors for job seekers, women, newcomers, and racialized professionals. Her voice is a source of encouragement for those navigating their own journeys of belonging and leadership, reminding us that when we rise together, we change what's possible for our commitment and for the generations that follow. Put your hands together as we welcome Angela. You good? Yeah? Right. Okay, let's get to this. All right, thank you all. And just so you guys know, we reached out to all of them on LinkedIn. And then, Dennis also helped though. So Dennis isn't here tonight. Yeah. So Dennis, he's in Winnipeg. Oh yeah, he's been posting. Dennis is always posting. Yeah. But yeah, thank you all for coming out tonight. And let's just, if I can get this, because I've got my questions here. So if I can get this to work, we can kind of dive in. But how about we start with, we'll do a quick lightning round. I want to give you all a chance to tell us, beyond what I just read, just a quick, we'll go around. Just tell us, what's your story? Like, how did you get here? And so we'll just take it one after the other, and then we can kind of dive into it. Is that okay? Yeah, okay.
So do I start? Yeah, go. Okay. Hi. So I know my bio said my work and all that, but yeah, I came to Canada through Kenya, and I came to Canada through Halifax. So I came in one very, very cold January. It was minus 34, and I think I'd left Kenya, it was like plus 40. So I wanted to take the next flight back, just to go back home. As soon as I landed, I was like, what is this? But my parents had believed in, just me having foreign education, so they really needed me to get that. So I came for school. I was an international student first. And then when I was in my university, I did meet a young, tall black man who smiled at me when I was taking my coffee at Tim Hortons, and he made me stay and love Canada, and all of a sudden it started getting a little bit warmer. So he made me stay, and I was able to get my education. We ended up having our kids in Halifax, and then in 2015, he got transferred to Calgary. So again, I decided, okay, this is gonna be another trial. Everybody told me Calgary is gonna be colder, but I decided, to come through. So we did, and we came in 2015. And if anyone remembers the 2015, every day you looked in the window, or on the TV, it was the downtown. Everything was just. It was terrible. Like, it was really, really bad. Every day you're hearing 1,000 people are being laid off, 1,000 people are being laid off. So what I decided to do is, my background was in educational psychology. I knew how to do resumes, and I knew how to do interviews, but here I was in a market that I couldn't really present that because everybody else was looking for a job at the same time. People were being laid off, so I knew I needed help. Went to Alberta Works. Alberta Works told me to go to a job fair where there was an Opportunity Knocks program, and Opportunity Knocks program was run by Manpower, and Manpower moved me from being a participant of the program because somebody saw my talent in the room as I was talking to other participants and sponsored me to be a staff member. And so I started there as a career facilitator. I was then promoted to a program manager after about a year, then workforce regional manager. Then I moved on to being a director right now. So that's my story of how I moved up in my journey.
He's got a microphone. Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. We moved out here in 2015 as well. So I moved out here in 2015. So I recollect what 2015 was like. I'm an engineer, worked in the oil and gas, so you can imagine what that, from the UK, moved from Aberdeen, working in the North Sea, to Calgary, and it was brutal. Like, people lost their jobs, and yeah, I do remember what that felt like. That was tough. But that's interesting. I think this is why we have these conversations, because just from your intro, I can tell, like, the message for me was clear. You showed up for a program, and you didn't just take a step back. You showed up and showed out. And that's how you went from being in a program to facilitating the program. And 10 years, 11 years down the line, whatever it is right now, this is where we are, right? Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate that.
Of course.
Thank you. All right, Jonah.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Jonah Jininga. I'm a Zimbabwean Canadian. So I actually moved to Canada back in 2014 to Prince Edward Island. But I think one thing that really shaped me is I grew up in a family where we're 9 kids. So being part of a big family, it encouraged an element of being very competitive, because you're always competing for your parents' attention. You're always competing for excellence, to be the best kid. So I think that's actually something that drove me to entrepreneurship. And then after that, moved to Canada to do my higher education, and actually did that in PEI. I hope you guys know where PEI is. Yeah.
Oh, my neighbor.
Yeah. So tiny little province, did my business and finance degree there. And then after I finished school, I did a short stint with the World Bank, whereby I was a research analyst looking at alternative finance as a mechanism and alternative data to increase access to credit. And I think one key element for me personally was I noticed a lot of like international students coming to Canada were underemployed. So I just took upon myself, like, okay, let me venture into entrepreneurship. Didn't know much, didn't have much professional experience in finance. It was just kind of like that short stint at World Bank. But I decided to be like, okay, based on the analysis that I've done of the people who before me, who came to Canada before me, I think this might be a venture that can actually give me the biggest ROI on immigrating to Canada. So yeah, happy to share more about my journey, but that's a little bit about me. Thank you.
Wow. That's interesting. So with no practical finance experience, you saw a gap and you jumped at it. That's insane. When I think about, what you just said, and I wonder, is it? And I shouldn't be asking questions now, but I just can't move on just yet. But if you were doing that now, like if it was now that you had this opportunity, would you take that level of risk? And the reason I ask the question is I feel like when we're a lot younger, there's probably less to lose. Like you could venture into entrepreneurship, it doesn't work after 2 years, you go back and find a job, right? And was that what some of the things that drove you to jump into it at the time as well?
Yeah, no, I think 2 advantages is I was very young, so no family commitments. I didn't have a family, I didn't have anything at that stage. So it allowed me to be able to take that risk. But then for me, it was entrepreneurship or nothing, just because I think coming to Canada, you're taking a risk. So I was like, okay, why do I get to Canada and be risk off, right? I already took the biggest risk leaving my family. So I think the best ROI I can keep on getting is just taking more risk, because that's the only element that you can be able to do. But I also had aspirations that later on in my career, I can also do work back in Africa as a continent. So I thought, I saw a lot of people establish careers here, but then they really want to go back, but you can't, because the capital it takes to be able to move back, moving back your family, it's really tough. But I thought, like, with entrepreneurship, you can build a business, sell a business, use that capital to be able to venture back and do different things. So that was just kind of like mainly my thought process. But yeah, entrepreneurship is hard. I always say I'm bold now. It's not that I'm old, it's entrepreneurship, so.
Well, okay, yeah, thank you for that. I feel like we're in business 101 right now. Like, and that we haven't even got into our first question. This is awesome. I'm loving it. David, it's your turn.
Yeah.
And before you go in, someone actually reached out to me after we posted the people who were going to be on this, and the person sent a message and said, I worked with David at ATB. He's a fantastic guy. Not that, yeah. He didn't say I worked with you. He said I reported into you. So it was someone who worked for you. But I think for someone to just reach out and say, you guys have a great guy on stage. He's a stand-up guy from ATB from way back. I thought that was worth sharing. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate that. First of all, this is just a little bit off topic. I just want to say your voice is like off the charts. I just had to say that to you while I have your attention. You remind me a little bit of Macy Gray, India Ari, kind of mixed in there. You got a beautiful voice. You should be proud parent. So how did it start with me? I'm going to be straight up honest. So my parents came so I grew up in the UK. I was born in London, England. Everyone thinks, oh, you're from England, all pompous and all that. I grew up in a rough part of England where I was constantly called the N-word on a constant basis, where I was assaulted, where there was a political party called the National Front, and they used to walk up the street and tell you to get out the country, you don't belong here. So I don't know if any of you seen this show called Top Boy. Yeah. So you know the council estate and where they used to live. That was the environment that I grew up in, which was in Top Boy. So I could have gone one way. I could have gone the line of drugs. I could have gone the line that I'm doing today. But my parents came in. The reason why I wanted to tell you this story, because people think that when you get to a certain level in life, like you've always been there. And I think what people really need to understand is the struggle that you had to get there. I just didn't just magically appear and become a vice president of an organization. Like I had to work my ass off, and I had to go through some struggles to get there. So I just want to be open with you about that. So my parents came up to me and said, to my three brothers, said, you got 1 month to say goodbye to your friends, we're moving to Canada. That was it. I had no choice, no say in it. We hopped on a plane, landed in Montreal, and I was pissed off for like 5 years. Like just pissed off because I was going, what am I doing here? I didn't ask to come here. The Canadians going like, hey, how's it going, eh? We were the only black people in the school, 3 brothers with English accents, right? 3 brothers in English accents in an all-white school in Ottawa, Nepean. And we were like a bit of a show for them. Could you say this? Could you say that again? Could you? So we were a bit of like a show for them. So that was my youth, and then I went into university, and there was even more. Actually, college. There was even more adversity there. I was studying to become an accountant in a university. I was going to do my CGA. I went to co-op. I was good with numbers, but I hated accounting. But everyone told me, including my guidance counselors, take accounting because that's going to lead you to great things. Good with numbers, but hated accounting. And I remember sitting there, because I used to work in accounts payable, and look at all the invoices I was paying, and paying all the expenses of the CEO, the people going on all these trips. And I just wasn't paying attention. And honestly, I just didn't care about accounting. I was trying to please my parents and please everyone else except myself. And this was co-op, and I got fired. Seriously. The person who ran co-op came up to me because I couldn't do a trial. I knew how to do a trial balance. I wasn't balancing because I just didn't care. I was trying to fake myself into taking accounting. And the person came up to me and fired me and said, you need to leave because this is not for you. And I remember calling my girlfriend at the time and said, I got fired from co-op. And she goes, what? You got fired from co-op? Did they get you for free? You said, you must be really bad at what you were doing. And I was. But it wasn't because I was bad at what I was doing, because I was incompetent. I just didn't care, and I was trying to please everyone. So when I got fired, that was a big pivotal moment in my life. It taught me 2 things. Number 1, do not allow anyone to take control of your career like that. Do not behave in such a way where the decision gets made for you and you're not making the decision. That was number 1. And the second lesson that it also taught me, find your passion and find something that you love, so that when you go to work or you're engaging in whatever it is, work, whether it's a performing career or whatever, that you have passion, because when you have passion and love for something that you do, you tend to perform. So that's just an early thing of my. Don't want to take up too much time because you're going to ask me some other questions. But that moment for me just solidified everything. So every decision that I made, if I don't like the environment that I'm in and I cannot change it, I will remove myself. And as such, I hear a lot of people saying they've climbed the corporate ladder. In the 25 plus years I've been working, I've only been promoted once. Once. All the positions that I've had to leave the organization to get what I want. So that's a little bit of my story.
We can go home now, yeah? All right, we're done. We've got everything we need for tonight, right? Thank you very much. That was awesome. It's interesting, and then we'll move on to questions, but it's interesting you mentioned that final piece where, I've heard people say things like, stay where you are, you've got to be loyal to your employer, but I think that's a good perspective to see that it's okay to say, this is not for me, I'm going to go get something else. Or I've also heard people waiting and saying, I've been passed a number of times for that promotion that I know that I qualify for. And it's okay to say, you know what, I've been passed twice, I'm done. I'm going to go out there and get a better job and probably get even paid better as well. That's good insight. Thank you very much. All right. How about we continue with you as well, and then we'll work our way back. So my first question is, and I guess we're just going to pick up from where you stopped, actually. Do you want to maybe share a little bit about how you, because you just told us a little bit about your early years as well, but maybe let's go into your career the last 25 years and share a little bit about how you were able to, to grow up to the point of being a vice president for ATB. And the reason I ask this question is, a lot of people are aspiring to get to that C-suite level. You want to be a director, you want to be a VP, you want to be a COO, and it feels like there's a ceiling. It feels like there's a particular color. It feels like you got to a manager level, get comfortable here, this is where you retire, right? But, for yourself, you're able to break that ceiling and you're still doing fantastic things. So maybe you can just share a little bit about what that journey looked like and maybe some of the challenges that you faced and how you overcame them. And then maybe it'd be nice to know if you had mentors as well, if you had people who advocated for you through that journey and how you managed those relationships.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think the first thing was the mindset and taking risk in my career, because a lot of people view failure as making mistakes, or you really tried hard at something and you failed. This is how I dissect failure and learning opportunities. Failure to me is when you are doing things recklessly. Like you're making reckless decisions and the probability of that outcome is not going to be good for you. That's failure. Learning opportunities for me is that you can still end up failing towards the end, but you made some calculated risk. You put all your effort into it. You worked really, really hard and you still didn't get the outcome that you desired. That to me is not failure. That's a learning opportunity. So that's the way how I dissected things. So I allowed myself to take risk, and that's why I left companies. So when I look at how I rose in, or how I was able to develop myself, I chose careers or opportunities of things that I'm passionate about. I'm very passionate about sales, customer service, watching people thrive, working in environments where I wasn't micromanaged, because I hate being micromanaged, where people are telling me what to do all day. It drives me insane. I can't work well in those environments. And that was what I was looking for. So those are the opportunities that I went after. So for example, when the doors really opened up for me when I was at Xerox, and this was back in the mid-90s, there was a black CEO by the name of Richard Barton. And I really wanted to get into Xerox, like so badly, because it was one of those organizations that if you get sales trained there, You get the sales training. They were very much into diversity inclusion way before it was a thing. So I really wanted to get into Xerox, and I ended up getting into Xerox and working there and going through their sales training. But what really got me motivated was this person, Richard Barton. He was a black CEO, and I've never seen that ever in my career, and one of the few black people in the organization. So I just went up to him one day and said, Richard, can I have a coffee with you? Because I've never seen a black CEO in my life, and I hope I don't sound like a stupid idiot, but I just want to understand, what did you do to get to where you are today? I just asked him. So we had a coffee, and he told me, plain and simple, David, if you want to move ahead in this organization, he was telling me how to move ahead in this organization, you have to get results. End of story. No one cares about the color of your skin or anything like that. Some do, but for the most part, you have to deliver sales results because we are a sales organization. And that was it. And I said, that's it? He goes, yep, go up and deliver the sales results and make sure that you're being consistent. And he told me, if you can last at Xerox longer than 3 years, then people will take you seriously if you were to look elsewhere. So I had a plan in mind. I gotta get the results, and I have to last at least 3 years, or otherwise this is a waste of time. So I did that, and I worked on sales teams. I performed really well. I won President's Club like 3 times in a row, and this was the one organization where I did get promoted. I got promoted to sales manager, to national sales manager, where I was taking care of the sales for a particular product division in the company. And that's where it all started for me. It was really around taking risks and asking for help. Like Richard Barton, like a black CEO, like I would be an idiot to not walk up to him and not ask him how he got to where he did. And that's what I did.
Wow, that's amazing. I think one of the things we talk about here is networking, and we've been talking about networking for 6 years since we started this organization, and even I still don't know how to do it very well. It's difficult to walk up to someone and say anything to someone. It's even worse now when you try. How many of you have tried sending out messages on LinkedIn to people? Like, I get messages, and there was a time when I tried to respond to every message I get. I'm now at a point where it's not practically possible for me to do that, right? And so it's just very difficult to do that. But, to have the courage to walk up to someone and say, hey, can we have coffee? It's something we preach here every time, but it's very tough. And the fact that you did it, and he took the time as well to, sit down with you and have a conversation, the CEO. And Xerox in the 90s was like, it's like Amazon today. Like, Xerox was massive, right? It was very big at the time. So that's a very nice story, and thank you for sharing that. Yeah, Jonah, let's jump to you. When you introduced yourself, you talked about what gave you the biggest ROI. You've mentioned ROI twice now, by the way. Just so you know, I'm listening. such an entrepreneur. Like, what's the result here? The bottom line. But you talked about making that decision to go into entrepreneurship because you felt that was. I like the fact that you said it took a risk to come out here. I might as well keep doing it, right? There's no point stepping back now. But can you tell us a little bit about the early journey of starting, entrepreneurship? Because it's a lonely venture. I know people in the room here who are exploring entrepreneurship at this time. There's a few of them here. I know that, and I know there's nights where it's lonely and cold, right? So how did you push past that? What was that? You talked about your why in your bio. I like that, but the early stages, because your why can also change over time, right? But at that early stage when you decided to do this, how did you get past the lonely nights, and how did you keep pushing, and what made you do that?
So I think there were 2 parts, and then I always want to give context. I think there were 2 things that for me have been helpful in my entrepreneurial journey. The first one is I grew up in an entrepreneurial family, so I think some things are transferable, just in terms of like your ambition. I also think like high pain tolerance. patience. Yeah, it's things that you need to be able to have experience, because I can only imagine if you're just going through it the first time and you don't have the right network, it can be very hard and very difficult to navigate. The second piece is, for me, it was, I think like when it comes to decision making, it was a commitment on, if entrepreneurship fails for me, I was okay with that decision, right? So that was kind of like the decision-making process that I was making, because if I did a cost-benefit analysis, it was, okay, this thing might not work out, but then if it does work out, what does that look like? The best thing about entrepreneurship is the compounding effect of your growth in terms of your skills, your network, access to capital, and the breadth of people that you can be able to meet. Over a 10-year period, you can be able to do what someone has to go through 40 years. 40 years, right? I can give an example. We started the company back in 2021, but then now you sit on the board of Canadian Lenders Association. It's not anything unique, but it's just kind of like you're a thought leader in that space, and then that kind of gives you an element of how you can be able to leverage that. But then back to starting the company, we started back in 2019, but then 2021, that's when we kind of like did the registration. We're one of the first tech companies in PEI. Like everything in PEI, it's agriculture, fishermen. So when you tell people that you're starting a tech company, everyone's just kind of like, yeah, you're crazy, you're delusional. So we did that the first 18 months, there was nothing. I think one of the hardest parts I actually experienced was immigration, because Canada didn't have any PR pathways for international students who have finished school, but they wanted to venture into entrepreneurship, because at that time you needed an employment, but then if your company was not mature enough, you can't use that as sponsorship. So I still remember my first PR application was actually rejected, and I actually had to write a letter to the IRCC to actually create a program to enable entrepreneurs, because they actually create the jobs, they actually drive the economy. And that actually was a catalyst in PEI actually creating an immigration pathway. Yeah, for young entrepreneurs. But that took almost like me 6 months not having a status, going back and forth with the government, just in terms of what we could do. So that's kind of like what the early days of the company looked like. But I think a few years down the line, I think that's always one thing I believe about entrepreneurship. And I always say is a closed mouth is a closed destiny. So I always was telling everyone the idea that we have, what we wanted to do. And I came across this guy who actually has been instrumental in our success. His name is Gary Schwartz. He is the president of the Canadian Lenders Association. So Canadian Lenders Association oversees everything from RBC, finance, insurance, everything included. And he was very curious about the idea that we're bringing to the Canadian ecosystem. Just as a curious person, he's also someone who has built a $100 million business and exited that business. And I think one thing which is really underestimated in mentorship or sponsorship is just kind of like ability, right? It's never about there's a skill match. It's never just kind of like, okay, you and this person likes you and wants to be able to help you in your career. So that was like an instrumental moment in terms of what we're doing. But then the funny part, because Gary Schwartz, he is white, he's Jewish, but we're actually born in the same village, because he was actually from Rhodesia during the colonial era. Yeah, so there was an element of synergy there. So that was really helpful. And then after that, we became one of the first PI company to actually raise a pre-seed round. We put a deck together. We didn't have any sales. We're like, okay. And then so I think sometimes, I think that's what's very important about having a sponsor of someone who has done it before. Because if someone tells me like, okay, hey, we need to go and raise money out in the market with no sales, just an MVP of a product, I wouldn't believe it myself. But then this person was like, okay, hey, you need to approach it this way. That gave me confidence to be able to do that. And then we did that, and then that was successful. We built the business, did the initial sales, and then back in 2023, we were approached by the Calgary Economic Development Team to be able to move from PEI to Calgary. And then that was, our board was very supportive of that decision, just to be able to scale it to continue building the business. So that's kind of like what the early days looked like, but it was a lot of pain, a lot of hustle, but then also huge wins in the mix.
Wow, that's interesting. And are you still in contact with Gary Schwartz?
Oh yeah, he's the chair of my board.
Oh, he's the chef. Okay, okay. So all we need to be successful is a white Jewish male, born in Rhodesia. Thank you very much for sharing that. And I'm glad you talked about moving to Calgary, because I know on LinkedIn when your company moved, and I was just curious at the time. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Why that move? But I think I just figured it had to be the opportunity to grow, right? Because PEI is, PEI is PEI, right? So, but yeah, that's interesting. Thank you for sharing. All right, Angela, we're going to switch gears a little bit, because you're a bit, Dave and Jonah have, the entrepreneur, the senior leadership. Yours is senior leader as well, but your focus is around inclusivity and HR support and helping people get jobs and things like that. And so it's Black History Month, right? And Black History is, this month in particular, some of the things we talk about is how to support Black professionals, Black students, and especially those who are underemployed, unemployed, looking for work. And so I just wanted to ask if, there's people online as well. Just imagine there's a CEO who's online today just saying, hey, who are these guys and what are they talking about? And trying to figure out how to drive a program that not only allows Black people, because what we're seeing is a job post out there and they'll bring in 1, 2, 3 Black people, and then 2 years down the line, they all get laid off. And so it's, we hired Black people, we supported them, but they didn't even make it through. And so my question is, if there's someone who's watching us today and who's going to watch this in the future, and they're asking, how do I truly build an inclusive workforce? What does that look like beyond a job posting that says, oh, we encourage you to apply if you're Black and you're a minority, and that whole literature that we see online?
I actually struggled with those job postings. For me, I don't know, I see the reason why, and being in the inclusion world, I should know better, but I'm just saying, in my experience, I really, really struggled with, check here if you're this, because sometimes I feel like it's just that checkbox, because when you look at the culture of the company or the DNA of the company, you're not seeing representation, you're not seeing what is being done beyond, the diversity photos or, being on a brochure. So I struggled with that, like, from in the beginning. And also I had a really bad experience in my early career. There's a time I had been hired somewhere. I was the only Black in that department, and somebody came up to me and said, oh, you're the token girl, nice to see you, and all that, right? So it just, it has a bad taste, and there are a lot of moments like that, right? Even when you're looking for work, when I first came here to Calgary and I was looking for work, I do remember I was called for an interview. It was a HR-related role, and I went to the interview. It was a recruiting company, not Manpower. We would never do this. So it was earlier before I got my roles, and on the interview, the first question the person asked me, he said, hey, you look exotic, where you're from? And I didn't understand that question at that time, so I almost pushed back the paper, and I was wondering, what job did I really apply for? What were you really calling me here for? Like, did I say yes to the wrong interview? So, and then I put on my, my HR and career coaching hat, and I gave him a chance. I said, well, I'm a Kenyan-born Canadian citizen, and I'm legally entitled to work in Canada, because a lot of times that's what you're asking. It's not, I look exotic, where's your name from, and all that curiosity, especially in those interviews. But the gentleman went on further to ask me, do you have kids? And again, that is none. Just because I'm a woman doesn't necessarily mean that even if I have kids, like, I'll have a plan to, if I'm applying for a job, like, I'll have childcare. So again, I gave him the second chance, and I said, I do have childcare in place for when I'm coming to work and when I'm leaving when we have winter or storm days or things like that. So that's covered. But then he went on further to ask me where my kids go to school. And because I'm in HR, that's when I drew the line. And I said, you know what? I don't think our values are aligned, right? I know the questions you're asking me are mostly illegal, and I'm applying for a role which is HR related. That doesn't tell me much about your company and the dignity that you treat people who are coming in there. So I like to say no. I wish you well in your interview, because I cannot be part of that company. I'm done, right? So when it comes to employers, is sometimes we put people in those roles, right? But we don't give them the training. We don't, HR can be a sales role, right? And sometimes you have to have the person who's there has to have some cultural intelligence in terms of like how they're asking those questions, because how they ask those questions made me feel I don't belong in that space. I'm different. There was a lot of othering of who I am, and I didn't feel comfortable in that. So you have to, if you're in a company, make sure that the conversations are screening people in and not screening people out. And whether it's from their color, whether from where they're from, whether it's their accents, I do believe we all have accents. So that's something that, I think as top leaders, when you're having people who are in those roles, making sure that they do understand that. I think too, when it comes to CEOs as well as top leaders, you're the ones who are affecting the culture. You show what is being, what's being promoted, what is encouraged, what is approved. It comes from the top all the way down, right? So you have to be careful in terms of like what messages you're sending to the teams, so that the other leaders all the way to the front line can be treated with dignity in those spaces, because we bring people in because there's a job, and some people are just doing a job. But when it comes to the culture and how they're feeling like they belong, if they're not having that, you're going to have a lot of turnover, right? And people are not going to stay, because these days people know better. Like you want to be in a place where you're thriving, not just surviving, right? You want to be in a space where there's opportunity for growth. The other thing I usually say is, it's good to bring in a lot of professionals from the equity deserving groups and put them in the room. But if you're leaving them in the hallway and not taking them to the boardrooms, you're not taking them to the rooms, you're not opening the doors that they need to be opened for them to be successful, then you're just checking off a box like, yeah, this is what I have in my company, I have this diversity, and that's it. But if you're not having conversations with them and asking them about what does your North Star look like? What can I do for you today that can help you take you from being a manager to a VP, or a VP to a CEO? What are some of the things I could do today? Whether it's investing in your professional development, or whether it's going to be connecting you to some mentors, or connecting you to some sponsors, or even having conversations on closed doors when you're not there and saying how awesome you are, right? I have been so lucky throughout my career. When I started in Halifax, I had come in and I was, looking at tying that law to human rights, and then I was going to go back to Canada. But when I was in class, my classes weren't feeling like I was struggling inside. And I went to the Career Planning Center at the university. And by the way, if you're in university and you don't go to the Career Planning Center, that's a wasted opportunity, because they have the resources and tools that can move you from point A to point B. My career counselor there is the one who sparked the passion that I have today for my job. I changed my degree because of her, because she opened that door. She saw me and she read my resume, which was 6 pages, by the way, because in Kenya we have 6 pages. And I cringe right now because I know it will only have 1 page. And she taught me how to do resume critiques. She gave me my first job, which was the Wakapolis marketing intern, and made me fall in love with career development. After that, I was pathing and charting my career from career development. That's how I did my master's in educational psychology, focusing on human relations, because she sponsored that moment. Another thing that she did for me was the same thing I think you mentioned about immigration, because when I was working there, it was no, we were not allowed to work off campus, right? So for me to get work experience after I graduate, I wasn't able to do that because you only could work inside campuses, and those campus jobs were just, survival jobs, right? So she took me to Halifax career fairs. I think PI used to come to that too, and in there, I was volunteering there. So I was meeting employers there, right? I was legally not allowed to work outside, but I could volunteer and be able to connect to employers there. And then the other thing that happened there, because they saw how many international students are there, and because Nova Scotia was an aging community, they wanted to change that. So she had me involved in the off-campus work permit strategy, which was from Nova Scotia. And we got the work permits just before I graduated, which was just great because UNICEF sponsored me because of that work permit that we fought for international students to be able to work outside of campus as well. So sponsorship, allyship, I can't say, it's so important to have that. So when the CEOs come into when the CEOs are looking at how they can support, is little moments like that. One thing that I have a mentor in my work right now who is the one who stretches me. Sometimes he's like, Angela, I think you're a little bit comfortable. How about we add this into, and you've been doing a little bit on the side of your desk, but I think you'll be good in it. And sometimes I'm like, what else am I gonna take off from my table? And then there's times I take it on and I'm like, oh my gosh, I start glowing because there's that stretch opportunity in terms of like that growing, so they're able to do that. So those type of opportunities are great to provide mentorship, sponsorship, allyship. Make sure you're combining that with professional development. But the other thing too is if you really, really care about your Black professionals, there's one thing one person does for me every February. They check in. They come in and tell me, hey, Angela, I know it's Black History Month. How are you doing? Because Black History Month, we celebrate most times, but I think the last 2 years it has been a little bit heavy with all the backlash and all that stuff. But having somebody who's not even your color and very senior come in and say, I'm just checking in today. How are you doing? Anything I can do to support you and the events or the activities that you're doing is so important. That shows that's somebody who's not just invested in me as a senior leader, but somebody who is invested in the whole of me. And I think we need to do more of that for our teams who are working in the companies.
Wow. Thank you very much for that. I think the message is at least for myself, I'm beginning to get the picture around this conversation. David talked about, networking. He went and spoke to someone, right? You talked about a mentor who showed you the path that you didn't even know was possible. Like, why would you do a pre-seed with just an MVP, right? Like, everyone wants to see your number. Yeah, exactly. Everyone wants to see your numbers before your deck comes up, right? But someone said we can do this, and you did that, and that's mentorship. And you've also talked about allyship and sponsorship. So I think that's also sponsorship, I guess. But I think, but we're beginning to build a theme around how this whole thing works. Like, am I making sense? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. David, how about we pick up with you as well? And so I wanted, the theme is around community. So I wanted to make sure that because we could spend hours just talking about your stories, right? It's very interesting. But I wanted to ask if, throughout your career, how is a two-part question. So the first part is, has there been a community influence? Is there any time in your life, in your story, as a professional, where you'd say, I was able to get past this because I had community? What did that community look like? Or what kind of support was that? And then the second part is, when you finally got to a position where you were that leadership position, were you able to reciprocate that as well? Is there a time when, obviously someone reached out and said, he's a great guy, he did great things at ATB, but if there's stories like that that you'd like to share with us as well?
Yeah, I'll answer part one because it's part of my DNA, and some people think I'm full of crap when I do this. But the reason why I got into leadership is to see other people thrive. That's the only reason why I got into leadership, and the reason why I got into leadership because I know what it feels like to just be a number and just to be ignored. There was times in my career where I would go and talk to a couple of VPs. I'll see them in the elevator, and they're with their colleagues, and they completely ignore me, like I don't exist. And I felt like shit. And I said, and that feeling, and I go, I'm working with these people. I'm working with these, I can't say the word out loud, but I'm working with these individuals, and it really angered me. It bothered me so much. And I made a promise to myself that if I ever got into leadership, I will never treat people like that. I will never, on my watch, have people feel that they don't matter, that they're not seen, despite whether they're loud talkers, quiet in the corner. I'm going to make sure that everyone who I touch hands with works. I will tell you this, all the people that have reported to me, one of them is the CEO of Northern Credit Union in Sault Ste. Marie. Another one is a senior vice president at Apollo Assurance. One of them, who I actually fought for, a little story behind that, my boss didn't like the idea of me promoting this particular individual. And I turned around to my boss and said, you hired me to make that decision. If you don't like who I've hired, then you can fire me. Like, get rid of me if he doesn't perform. This person's now the chief operating officer at Tangerine Bank. This is very, very unique. I'm the type of person, I'm the person in the room that stands up for people and puts so I had a boss one time that said to me, why do you believe in people so much? Like, why do you put your effort into people so much? And I said, if I don't, who will? I don't want to be the leader when someone comes home and they're sitting at home and go, guess what my stupid boss said to me today? Or guess what this asshole said the other day, right? I want to be the boss where they're going, my boss told me I did a really good job today. My boss helped me do this. My boss helped me do that. That was the boss I wanted to be, and that's the boss that I have been. Anywhere I go, you talk to anyone that's reported me, just call them, talk to them. You don't even have to let me know, and they will tell you what I've been able to do for their career because I've been selfless, because it's not about me, it's about us, and it's about the whole team winning. And it's about people thriving. So that is just built into my DNA. And I don't make promises that I can't keep. So my say-do ratio is 100%. If I say I'm going to do something for you, I'll get it done. So that's because my word is my bond, right? And I just know what it feels like to be on the other end of those things and how it makes you feel and how it sits with you. And I don't want to be the person that impacts your life that way. That's part one. What was the first part of that other question?
So you talked about you helping people.
Yes.
And so the other part was the other way around. So is there a time in your career as well where you had someone do what you've just said, or a community support you in that way?
I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't had that level of support. I haven't had a David Bradshaw for David Bradshaw. I've had people kind of help me on the periphery, and then they go, he wants to be a vice president, or he's looking to do this, and they kind of just step back a bit. But I don't know what the reason is, but they don't lean into it like the way how I would lean into it. So I haven't really had that person in my corner. I guess the closest person I would have is leaders that have coached me in terms of the things that I should be doing differently at work. But that to me is not a mentor. A mentor to me is where I can really strip down, be myself, and talk to them about the struggles that I'm going through. I haven't had that. When I was an executive at ATB and Tangerine Bank, and being at ATB being the first and only black executive at that bank, it was lonely. Like, there were days in there that I was sitting there going, I don't have any friends. Like, I didn't have any. Because I don't ski, I don't play a lot of hockey. I came from Toronto, I'm from England, I love to DJ, I was a DJ. So I have a very weird background, and sometimes people, they look at me and go, who is this guy? Like, I don't know what to do with him. So I think that was part of the issue, but I didn't have that confidence. The only confidence that I had were people at my own, at a level below or at the same level. I never had anyone senior that I could open up with. I did do that on a number of occasions, and it backfired on me in terms of opening up. So people used that information to try and discredit me. And I saw that actually play out at Tangerine Bank. So I'm not going to get into that story, but I actually got to see it play out at Tangerine Bank because they were going, David's getting a lot of attention from the CEO. I don't like it. He's getting too big for his britches. And I could feel people kind of doing a little sabotaging. So it was lonely for me. So I did not have that person. But what I did do is I did speak to friends. I made sure that I opened up with friends. And I did keep the network that I had of ex-colleagues, and that was who I really went back to. But I didn't have those one or two people that I can open up to. Outside of your best friends, but people corporately, I didn't have that type of support network.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. And I think it's necessary for us to hear that as well, right? Because that many times we come out and we hear there's someone who was pivotal in a career, but it's also good to know that there's times when it doesn't just go that way, right? So while some of us might need a Jewish guy, some of us don't need anyone. I'm just going to keep focusing, don't mind me. Well, thank you for sharing. Jonah, how about we look at your... This one's particularly, I'm particularly interested in this question because, and I know a number of entrepreneurs here as well, and I'll try to frame this as best I can. I'll ask a question. How many people here own businesses? Okay, so that's good. That's good. I like that. And how many of you have attempted to go to the bank for a business loan? Okay, hands have reduced. Okay, and how many of you were successful? It's even gone further down, but right. And the reason I ask this question is, there's lots of people who are trying to grow businesses. And there's a difference between the mom and pop, right? I have a full-time job, but then I want to do something on the side, right? That's not what I'm talking about now. I'm talking about the people who are interested in going big, like 500K and above. Some of the things that we hear is people reach out and say, look, I'm trying to get a bank loan. I have a business plan. In some instances, I've actually started the business and I'm trying to scale. But there's just lots of barriers in front of us. Like there's one reason or the other why it's difficult to make progress. And so my question to you is, as someone who's raised funds and someone who's also in the space of supporting black entrepreneurs, I guess why are people struggling with traditional, getting loans traditionally, and what can we do differently to present ourselves to be able to get a higher chance so there's more than one person in the room who's been successful?
Yeah, no. So I think in terms of fundraising and being capital investment readiness, I see it in two ways. One, there's systemic challenges, but I think secondly, there's also an opportunity to be able to learn more about the financing mechanics, especially in terms of like the incentives. What are the incentives? Because the incentives drive every decision. So on the systematic side, I think that if you're talking about credit, the big element is for large transactions. Typically, like Canada, our system is not really built to support low-income individuals, because everything that happens is most times it's supporting people who have collateral. And then people who have collateral tend to have like, okay, they've built generations of wealth. If my parents were here in Canada, they had a house, I can go and start a business, get a loan. It's pretty straightforward. But then now if I'm starting a business and then I'm doing it myself and I don't have any collateral that I can be able to put in place, it's really tough to be able to access that level of financing. But I think there are different ways to be able to go about it. The first piece is I always say like, okay, starting small and growing big. It's an element, but I also think there's also an element of how we can, as entrepreneurs, we can be able to approach risk perception. The hard truth is a business being run by a black founder is just going to be considered as high risk just because we haven't been in those rooms, right? If someone is running an investment venture capital firm, they'll look at their historical data. Probably in that historical data, there's not even a single black founder. It's just statistics, it's just data. It's wrong, but then that's kind of like how they, so it's understanding how they think of it from their own side, and then how you can be able to break in from that side. So I think like for me, what has worked well is understanding the risk perception and then starting to be able to de-risk from that criteria. If I wanted to start this business by raising a credit facility, I don't think we would have been able to do it. But I thought like, okay, in terms of investment and venture, this is something that we can be able to do because one, it supports long-term growth. Two, it can be able to also support our cash flow as a business because our business structure was not a business whereby once we get money in, we can be able to start repaying it back that exact moment. And one thing that I use personally is called the onion theory of risk. And then what that talks about is a business, a new venture is different layers of risk. And then how do you approach and know how to prioritize what to de-risk first? In our kind of business, if you're in financial services, the first thing to de-risk is the team execution and is the regulatory burden. If you are talking to an investor who is in that space, they're going to understand that, okay, you are speaking in a way that I know my capital is protected. So there's a strategy there. So I think there's an element whereby like as founders, as entrepreneurs, we can be able to create different strategies. The first part is understanding like, okay, what's the mechanics? How does the financing ecosystem work? Why is there a high lack of access? And then how can I be able to break through with the current infrastructure that exists? So I think that's kind of like one of the key elements that we're looking at it. But I also think like in an age of AI, a lot of things are changing because I'll just give, not to be too nerdy, but in Canada, for example, small business loans under 50,000, the rejection rate is 52%. So 1 in every 2 small business loans is rejected. And the reason why those loans are mainly rejected is because for a financial institution or for a bank, the cost structure of underwriting that loan is the same process as underwriting a $500,000, $1 million loan, which is collateral. So they can make more money on a secure transaction doing that than actually taking more risk on a lower transaction, and those are the mechanics. But I think now you're seeing a lot more in terms of financial services, whereby people are now using AI agents to be able to do a lot of the underwriting. And I think that's something that's going to create that access. Because typically, if you're underwriting a loan of 50,000, a traditional bank will cost you 1,300. But then if you're using AI agents, you can be able to bring that cost to under $100. Obviously, there's a replacement of human capital in that space. But I think the infrastructure and the mechanics changes, which can actually be able to improve access to capital for entrepreneurs.
That's awesome. Thank you. That's enlightening for me as well. Yeah, I think that, Jonah, that was enlightening. You just the thought that, as a bank or financial institution, when they look at how many VCs, so when you look at the portfolio of VCs and there's one or no black or 0.1% black founders, it automatically sends bells ringing for a financial institution. Like, yeah, if no one's investing in these guys, why would we want to invest in these guys, right? I never thought about, I think the picture you just painted was like, so hopefully we can change that. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I wanted to just add one element, just a quick note on that is I also think like as black entrepreneurs, we are more successful if we are creating or adding to an existing pie than trying to be able to replace an existing system. So I think something that's really happening right now that's actually transformational is Canada for the first time has created the Canada-Africa strategy. In the Canadian history that has never existed, but then because of new trade relationships, that has now become an infrastructure just in terms of like investing in Africa, because the one good thing in terms of Africa as a continent is they've created the AfCFTA, the African Free Trade Continental Agreement, with the whole purpose of creating a single market. So right now there's tons and tons of opportunities to be able to build $100 million businesses, multi-billion dollar businesses, because that trade infrastructure doesn't currently exist, whether it's the logistics, the trade financing, the existing infrastructure to be able to make that happen. So I think for a lot of entrepreneurs, it's also how do we think outside the box instead of like doing ideas that currently exist. How do we take advantage of new opportunities that are being created due to geopolitics, due to new technologies? I think it creates also different momentum to be able to build something big.
That's awesome. Thank you very much. Angela, one more for you. And can someone tell me how we're doing for time? Because we could be here for another 2 hours. I'm having so much fun here. Angela, just one more for you, and then I'll do a quick lightning round as well. And I reckon that we might have people here who have questions, so just make sure that I give you guys a chance to ask those questions. But this one's quick. So how do immigrant professionals, so your first question was around how employers support black professionals or minority professionals. I think the second one is how do we position ourselves, and David talked about this a little bit as well, about how, a few tips here and there that we can position ourselves to be seen, to present our best selves and to be able to give us a chance at moving up that ladder.
I think I'll share some of my experiences as well, as I give you some tips on how to move up. One of the tips I would say is networking is a must. You have to learn how to network, and you have to learn how to do it right. I think I was lucky because I started in Nova Scotia. In Nova Scotia, we are networkers on steroids. Everybody says hi to everybody. You meet in the street, in the bus, everywhere. We talk to everybody. So when I came here, I knew I had to build my network because my network was gone when I moved to Calgary. But the way I networked here is a little bit different. Here we are friendly, but there's a little bit of, okay, you gotta pump your brakes and get to know somebody, and you have an agenda and a purpose of that meeting. However, I can say Calgary was the most generous in the number of coffees that I had to get a job, and I met with people through LinkedIn. I just, would go in and say, hey, my name is Angela, I just moved from Nova Scotia. I'm looking at how I can get into this field or this sector or pivot to this other area. Can I have 15 minutes of your time for coffee? And we'll be able to do that. And in 3 months, I went for 55 coffees. And out of those 55 coffees, only 2 coffees I paid for. And the one is because I messed up the date when we were having the coffee. The other one had forgotten their wallet at home. And they were all really good. I remember my best coffee in that meeting was one with a gentleman. I'll never forget him. He's one of my mentors up to now, and that we met in 2015. His name is Dean Ladak. And I met him through LinkedIn. I typed on LinkedIn, and he was career coach, and he had Swahili, which is my other languages from Kenya. And I wrote to him and I said, I'm looking for it. And within seconds, he responded back absolutely, I would love to meet you. However, I'm in Cochrane. Will you be okay coming here? And I was like, I just arrived in Calgary, and as a newcomer, you know how Calgary seems huge. So I was saying, okay, I am going to take a chance. So I told my husband, I said, hey, I'm going to meet this man in Cochrane. I don't know where Cochrane is. But if I don't hear back from me in an hour, find my iPhone to find me where I am. And it was the best meeting I've ever had in networking. We sat there as soon as I met him. He had already connected the dots as to who he is introducing me. By the time I got back home, he had sent me 35 contacts, their phone numbers, their emails, and a little note as to how I will introduce myself to that. He introduced me to 4 people, CEOs of different organizations that were hiring people with my skill set. To be able, one of them, he was like, oh, you need to be this person. I don't care whether you go for a jasmine tea or you go for golf, but you need to meet Angela because she is amazing, and he's listed all my expertise, right? So there are people like that in Calgary. And what I would say to immigrants, like, don't do it alone. It's so hard to put those jobs online, hundreds and hundreds, and you're not hearing back. It's depressing. Use what is there available for you. One thing I found here is there's a lot of resources from the Calgary Public Library to programs that the ones that Manpower offer. We have 13 programs across the province that help people to get back to work. They help you to reskill, to upskill, to pivot. And if we can't help you, we will tell you who else can help you in that field. There's also like staffing organizations, like the recruiters that you can go to place your resume, and they can also be able to connect you to an employer, right? The other thing that I would say is please take 100% responsibility of your career and make 0 excuses. Because sometimes I find we get stuck in those survival jobs because we are, oh yeah, I'll just take this one, right? And they're good employers and they're bad employers. Employers who will make you stay in that survival job like forever. But if you do not know who you are, what your value is, and what your path in the next 5 years looks like, you're going to be stuck in those positions. So connect to people, get mentorships. Eventbrite is such an amazing tool for people. You can just type under business and you can look at all the different networking events that are coming. Most of them are free. Go in, meet people. They don't even have to be in the sector you're in or the industry you're in, but somebody knows somebody who knows somebody who's looking for somebody like you. And a lot of job postings, they're not being posted. Jobs are also being created by people who have gone and met somebody and said, you know what, I don't even have this position, but I really need this person in my company. So I'm going to create that position. I had gone to the Calgary Black Chamber a couple of weeks ago. And I met a lady who was there. She was one of the circles that we were having a conversation with. And she had me and her connected on LinkedIn. And I had a contract position that I had my job. And I looked at her resume and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is exactly what I'm looking for. So we gave her a call, she had an interview, and she passed, and she started off a contract at Manpower. So things like this is how you get connected to like different roles as well. So do your networking, do your research to know who you really are. So if somebody comes and says to you like, what is your salary expectation? And you say, I don't know, whatever you guys are offering, you will get whatever you guys are offering. Because, like I said, they're good employers and they're bad employers. And I've been in that position where an employer said, no, I know you're asking for this, but your skill sets are here, and this is what I'm giving you, right? So there are some of those employers who are like really good, who will give you that equity value, but there's some employers who will take advantage of that commission. So know who you are. 100% responsibility, make 0 excuses, ask for help. There's so much support. There's a lot of serving organizations, funded programs that are free of charge for you to go into and be able to look for work or to upskill and all that. And start booking those coffees with people and getting to know what is out there. The last thing I would say, AI is transforming the world. Please, 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 whatever industry you're in, look at how it's affecting the sector, the job, how it is reducing efficiencies, how it's creating efficiencies and increasing productivity, right? And understand, is this a risk to my job, or is this something that if I learn this, I'll be giving a competitive edge and a unique factor to an employer. So position yourself that way. And regardless from where you are, what color you are, if you're in front of an employer, remember, you have the skills, you have the talent that is there. So, or don't come in as, I'm on sale. No, you're there to market who you are, and just as much as they're interviewing you to come and work for them, you're also interviewing them to see, is this the place I see myself in the next 5 years? Because you have something that they are also looking for. So I would say those are the tips that I have survived through to get to where I am.
Wow. All right, thank you very much. Can we just, these guys are so amazing. Just a round of applause for them, please. Thank you. I was hoping we could get through another round of questions, but it's almost an hour and a half, just so you guys know. We've been speaking for an hour and a half. So I'd like to, Osaki's here to help, but I'd like to pass it on to the audience. If we have questions, check 1, 2, yep. Yep, I see hands. Okay, so let's take a number of questions and
There was
yeah,
gentleman in the back.
further at the back as well, yeah. We'll start with him, yeah.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thanks, Angela, Jonas, and David for that wonderful intro. Little backstory. I was a bit hesitant about coming, but Charles was in my house yesterday. And then when he said David was coming, I said, oh, yeah, I'm definitely coming. I was at ATV as well, and I used to enjoy those meetings where, you come in, you get us all pumped and, get all excited. And funny backstory. When I left ATV, I went to... Okay, well, this is being streamed live, right? So I'm not going to mention names so I don't get sued. When I left ATB, I went to another bank, way bigger bank, and, every advice, we got from David, I'm like, yeah, David said this, that. And, yeah, in 6 months, I got fired. And I'm like, damn. Now David got me fired. But it was a very toxic environment anyway, so I was glad I left. And everyone knew the manager did me dirty. And yeah, he really did me dirty. Crazy story. And a couple of months later, a lot of my team members, even some of the higher-ups, called me and said, oh, guess what? So person got demoted. I'm like, how? Why? They're like, management found out what he did to you, and they were unhappy, and they demoted him. And they were all expecting reaction from me, like thinking I was going to gloat. I said, no. I said, I don't wish him bad. I just wish he would be a better manager. I don't wish anyone bad, right? So that was a cover story, but the good side of things was, with all that you taught us in ATB, I took that into Morgan Stanley. When I got poached into Morgan Stanley, I was the only black person in my team, and because of my performance, my boss then in New York, I had 2 bosses, one in New York and one in Salt Lake City. They began hiring other black people because of me, mostly Nigerians anyway, And shortly after, because of performance again, when JP Morgan was moving to Calgary, they poached me, and it was same thing. I was the first black person, first Nigerian, and due to performance reasons, they started hiring all the black people again in JP Morgan. So, yeah, so thank you. You've been a great, great inspiration, and so that I don't take too much time, I'll just go to my question. I actually had it written out. So what decisions have you made that delivered long-term value but weren't immediately popular?
Yeah,
To David.
Yeah, is that to me? So I'll tell you what it was. So it was actually at Tangerine Bank, and I did it also at ATB. And when I worked at Xerox, the one thing that Xerox talked to you about was to have some type of framework. Like when you spoke to people at Xerox, when you spoke to a salesperson at Xerox, you knew you were speaking to someone from Xerox just because of the types of questions that they ask you. So the program that they actually put you into was called SPIN Selling, which stands for Situation, Problem, Implication, and Need Payoff. That was the way how you went about sales. So what I saw, because I worked in contact centers and in large sales groups like with 400 or 500 people, is the inconsistency in which people were approaching the relationships with their clients. So when someone said, develop a relationship with this person or get to know them, people would take that and go, well, someone said that their grandmother died, and they were asking, well, how did your grandmother die? Because they thought they were trying to make an emotional connection with this person, so they didn't know. So what I did with my team and other teams is that we implemented this customer service framework that allowed you to, it's not a script, but it allows you to have consistent service delivery when speaking to individuals. And because when I started to implement that, people were going, this is a waste of time, we don't care about this, it doesn't matter. So I just went off on my own and piloted it with my team. And then all of a sudden, all these customer compliments started coming through. And Tangerine Bank would not have ever won any award if it wasn't for the work our team did, the team that I worked with, when we implemented this customer service framework. We saw the same thing happen at ATB. People were kind of going, it's just the contact center, like, let them just do it. Then all of a sudden, the branch wanted to get involved, and other people wanted to get involved. And again, ATB won a J.D. Power Award for top customer service in Canada based on the work that we were doing. So people didn't see the value in it because they couldn't quite understand we're already doing this. It took like a couple of years for it to go through. And I'll tell you one quick short story. Whenever I go into a department or wherever I do anything, I always take the first 120 days, 90 days, and don't say anything. I just learn. I keep my mouth shut, I listen to feedback, I learn, ask questions, make sure that I understand the situation. And as I'm doing that, I'm actually building a strategy based on what the people told me. So when you go back to them and present the strategy or present your business plan, it's go, oh, aren't we already doing this? Yeah, because you're the ones that were giving me the feedback. So what happened is we built this 3-year plan. I don't want to talk too much, but I'll just make it quick. We built this 3-year plan. And one of the things that I wanted to do, because I work in sales and service, and most of it was in the contact center industry, I wanted to win top contact center in the world, like just be the best in the world. And the CEO looked at me and goes, that's a lofty goal. Are you sure you're going to be able to do this? Like, that's quite a big thing to do. And I remember saying to him, it's not a matter of it being lofty. I said, we will get this done. We're going to do this. And fast forward 3 years later, we won the award for top contact center in the world. I got to meet the whole board of directors and the whole 9 yards. So what's happened at Tangerine Bank is they're now renowned for their customer service and winning awards. That wouldn't have happened if our team wouldn't have done the work to get them to where they were today. They probably wouldn't have been winning the awards that they're winning today if we didn't stick to our guns.
All right, let's come get my steps in today. What was second?
Thank you. Well, thank you three. My name is Davina, and my sister was the one that told me about the event and was like, Davina, come, listen, and I'm very glad I did. So, David, Jonah, Angela, you three shared about allyship, mentorship, and so on and so forth. I'm 19 at UCalgary, my second year, so I'm still setting that foundation so that 10 years from now, I get to be, probably even less than, I get to be in places like this. My question is, how can we look, so people my age, look for sponsors and allies? And I got advice from someone last week or so, and the person said that when you want to meet with someone that is like a high executive position, come with what you want to do for them. But the issue is, I don't know, I can't read your LinkedIn profile and know exactly how I want to help you. I know exactly the value I want to provide in your space. So my question is, how can we look for allies, and how can we also make sure that I'm not just taking, but I'm also giving?
question?
That's a good one. I think for me, I work with a lot of mentees from Montreal University. I'm one of their mentors there as well. So I do see a lot of young students coming in and being able to ask these deep questions in terms of like the sponsorship and the allyship. I think you can start by looking at where you are wanting to go in the next 5 years, right? Because you don't want to have a coffee or meet up with somebody when there's no goal. Because when you're looking at those higher level, a lot of them their time is like really tight, right? So you want to come in with an end goal. What do you want to know? Do you want to know more about them as an individual, how they started and how they got there? Or do you want to know more about the industry that they're in and how to, to get your foot in that particular door? Or are you looking at them to be a mentor to you, right? So have a goal when you're having that conversation with them to be able to do that. Then once you have what your end goal is and what outcome you'll be happy with, then you can craft that your LinkedIn message in that regard and be able to book a meeting with them as well. A lot of them actually, of executives are looking to meet with people who are in university because we are also learning from you, right? So it's never, and every time I always say I mentor selfishly because I want to be on top of what's happening in your world as well, because it does affect each other on both ends. You're also helping me stay on top of the current trends in terms of like workplace as well as sectors and things like that, right? So don't feel like you're not giving something back as well. Just go in there, be confident, but make sure you have a goal and an outcome that you're expecting to have at the end of that meeting, so that when you're having the conversation, you can know whether it was a successful meeting or it wasn't. But also be okay with some people that you may ask them to be, but they don't have capacity to have, and don't take it personal. That's them, because sometimes I know like there are people we are looking to be our mentors, but they just have so much on the go. Be okay if they're not responding. Be okay with that. Just go to the next person, because all those 55 coffees I was telling you I met with people, there was like 100 more which said no. Some came even after 6 months and said, "Oh, by the way," right? So some of them it's just a no. It's a maybe, right? But be very strategic in terms of who you're meeting with, and because you also want it to be working for you, not just a nice to have mentor. You want somebody who's really, really going to be able to lift you and sponsor you in those spaces that you want to get into.
Can I just add one thing? I hate when people say you need someone who's young. Like, this bothers me to no end. You've got to bring something to the table to these senior executives. That's a pile of crap. Like, I think that is absolute nonsense. That's just the same as you looking for a job, right? And they're telling you that you don't have experience, but you're going, oh, but can you give me a shot? No, sorry, you need to get the experience. So if I don't get the experience from you, where the hell am I going to get it from, right? So I don't believe in that at all. I open up my kitchen. The one thing I would say for what Angela's really right about is you should come with a plan and be intentional about what you want to speak with the person about. But for that person to expect you to bring something for the table, you have to question who you're even talking to for them to have that expectation of you, especially being so young. This is, people like me in my career, we need to start giving back and sharing our experience with you and doing that selflessly, not looking for a transactional relationship. So I guarantee you, if you were to contact me through LinkedIn and you wanted to have a coffee chat and you wanted to talk about things, I will have that coffee chat with you, and I would not expect anything in return. The thing that would make me most happy is that Was I able to help you? Was I able to help you thrive? Was I able to open some doors for you? That's what's going to make me happy and satisfied in having that interaction with you.
Yeah, I think, did you say you're 19? Wow. When I was 19, you don't want to know what I was up to at the time. Just a second, though, but what I want to say is, and just to add to what they've both said, I think at 19, you're not. It'll be great if you know where you want to be. Like if you have a full plan of what your career is going to look like, that's fantastic. When I was 19, I didn't have that. And so why I say this is, I think it's okay to reach out to people on LinkedIn or however you want to network and say that, look, I'm exploring these options. I'm not even sure of what I want to do. Like, David will have a coffee with you. I'll have a tea with you as well to talk about. Yeah, aren't you guys going to clap for me as well? Like, I'll have a tea with you to talk about, what I do, all right? So I think at your age, you don't even have to go to the senior execs. Like, you need people with 5 years experience, 2 years, 3 years, right? Like, you've got a bigger pool of people to talk to, like, because it's okay to say, look, I'm exploring X, Y, Z, and I'm not quite sure of which one will work out, right? So have those coffees. 55 is nothing. Like, you need to get at that, right? And start to meet people and start to explore. And half of it won't make sense to you. Like, you walk away from it and be like, yeah, that's not for me. That's okay as well, right? And then hopefully you find the one or two that you're like, yeah, this is what I want to do. But the fact that you're doing that at 19, well done.
Hi, everyone. Okay, I'm 21. I'm a licensed Alberta insurance agent. I also am doing a second degree in web development. Just to piggyback off what you said, before I got into supply chain management, my brother called me. I have an older brother. He's 19 years older than me. Please ask mommy why she did that to me. And he said, do you want to work in Walmart? I don't know if you guys know that meme. Funke, you end up in what? Yeah, that was me. Do you want to end up in McDonald's? I said, wow. And I called one of my professors. I don't know if they do this in UFC, but majority of the professors in Mount Royal, they're contract staff. So they're C-suite, or they work in the field. So my business law professor is a lawyer, right? And that's why as supply chain students, we have a lot of evening classes because they're at work, right? But anyway, I called one of the professors and I met him through music. I sang somewhere. He's like, I'm an operations management teacher at Mount Royal. And I'm like, oh, okay. It was my first year, and first year you do all the general classes. So I sat down and I'm like, Escobisa, please break down what this supply chain is. Because to me, it was COVID and people were looking for tissue papers. And I was like, okay. That's what I had, right? Because I wanted to do computer science, which is what I'm doing. That's my passion. That's what I'm doing as an online degree currently. So he talks about, supply chain, that women are in it, and that, I don't have to get a master's if I don't want to, or a PhD, like just the bachelor's degree is good. So he just kind of basically broke it down, and I could tell that he wasn't just looking for me for a position, right? But then in my head, I was like, okay, this is fun, I can do this, right? And at 18, I joined World Financial Group, WFG. So my question is targeted at Mr. Jonah. It's an entrepreneurship question. But basically, you're doing such a great job, right? And I'm 21, I'm not even, that far from you. I have a question for everybody, but because of the time, I will book those, not even coffee or tea, dinner dates, so I can ask all my questions. But for Mr. Jonah, so 2 years ago, because, I was opportune to come through my mom. My mom's a fashion designer, so self-employed. I'm a citizen, basically, so I didn't go through. Most of my friends are student permits, so I can relate to that, the 20 hours of work, and that's why I could, I'm a licensed, financial advisor. I have 5 people under me, one in the US at 21, right? And I understand what entrepreneurship is. You mentioned like a African collective happening in Canada. So 2 years ago, I was looking for any job. I said, I'm broke, right? And yes, I was broke. And music has been bringing money since 2023, but For me, music is not just fun. Like I said, I own a band and people management. Oh Lord, that's a lot. And I've struggled with people pleasing and saying no and being strict, and I'm still working on things. But my question to you is just about the African Collective. So 2 years ago, I went to the Calgary Youth Employment Center, and I was opportune to sit down. I will never forget his name, Ray, and he just came from Toronto, and then he sat down with me, and he's like, "Why do you need a job? Right? You have this network. You're in WFG, you have clients, like, what do you need this for?" And I was like, I'm broke, right? And then he told me, okay, do you know, like, Canada is investing in Africa? And that he just kind of opened my mind to that, and which you mentioned a lot, and Arrow Eyes, yes. I think about that a lot. But I just want to know, because I'm in supply chain management, and I want to invest in something back home. I'm from Nigeria, yay. Right, and I want to invest in something back home based on logistics, basically. And I think you should also plug into school, like she said, your career services, because they looked at my resume. I did an internship with Amazon, and they were like, "You worked with Amazon, and you worked as a manager in Amazon, and we can't even see, like, you're not putting the right words." It could be a simple word like time management. I manage over 100 drivers every day. In fact, I lost my voice because of that. So I know 9 to 5 is not for me, amen. So, because I just did that for 3 months. But my question was about the African Collective, and just saying plug into school, right? There's career services in school. There are professors that you just can have coffee, like during lunch, even office hours, right? Not even for like schoolwork. Like right now, I'm about to finish. Supply chain students, we had a breakfast for supply chain management students, 7:30 a.m. Of course, half of the students didn't show up. I did show up. I met with Bison Transportation. We're doing a capstone course. We're basically helping them solve a problem, and they're giving us $4,000 for that. So not just an A. And I told my team, yeah, we're getting that money, right? Because I'm the operations management. But that's what I wanted to say to you. And yes, we have to close. But about the African Collective and what Canada is doing to, like, collaborate with Africans. Thank you.
Yeah. So like there are two parts. So Canada, because of the trade relations with the US, developed the first Canada-Africa trade relations. And it's mainly because historically it was very hard for Canada to have any trade relationships with each individual African country because the markets are smaller. Probably there are only a few countries, Nigeria, Egypt, who are like, okay, on a massive scale, right? So with the AFCTA development, the big thing is how do we build trade relations between Canada and and Africa as a continent. And I think one thing that's really interesting about Canada is people don't put it into context or perspective. Canada has the highest talent concentration of black people globally, right? If you think about black people in America, they're mostly historically America who came through kind of like slave and whatnot. Same in the UK, but in Canada, a huge, massive base came through immigration, economic streams, and then so you have a huge concentration of talented black people. So like it's really upon us. If not us, then there's not going to be any solution in terms of driving economic development. So that's kind of like one of the key elements that the Canadian government was using. Like how do we leverage the Canadian diaspora in terms of the Africans who are here to be the key enablers for us to be able to build relations in terms of Africa. Right now, there are massive opportunities. If you want to be an African ambassador, Canadian ambassador to any African country, that's a massive opportunity in terms of building those relations, because I think right now in Africa, they have less than 8 ambassadors in each, mainly South Africa, Kenya, and a few other countries. So that's another opportunity. But then there's also opportunity in terms of entrepreneurship for building the infrastructure. I'll give an example. Right now in Canada, for example, when we're working with banks, we can be able to do a $15 million deal, a $50 million deal. But then when we're talking with the AFCTA, just around trade financing, it's a $100 million deal because it's continental, right? So I think the opportunities are very massive because it's new infrastructure. It's also something that's being built with the new technologies because it's being built from ground up because historically that didn't exist. So I think the opportunities are immense, and I think that's something that you can be able to look into. If you check the Canadian government, they have the Canada-Africa strategy whereby they speak about the 6 pillars. And then if you're looking for organizations that finance African expansion, there's FinDev, but then FinDev does massive projects. So they do like $100 million deals financing ports, for example. and different infrastructure development across the African continent. So FinDev is now being able to do that because that's the bilateral bank of Canada. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Angela, Dave, and Jonah. My name is Ikim. My question is around startups, right, and barriers to entry. So my question is to Jonah. As an African and as a new immigrant, some of us came here after COVID, so we're still relatively new, and we've not raised that capital in Canadian dollars to actually pump that into a business. And a situation where you need to bring in funds from, let's say, Nigeria or the UK, because I moved to the UK before coming to Canada, and then you have your business plan, you show it, and they tell you where's the financials, and you say you have it from Africa, it becomes a problem, right? And like I saw a place I wanted to rent, and I wanted to pay 1 full year, and they said no, because my funds were not from Canada. So what did you face when you were trying to start up as a black entrepreneur, and how did you go around or walk around those issues?
Yeah, no, I think that's like a key element just in terms of like the big barriers is there's a trust gap in terms of like black entrepreneurs, one from a technical perspective. Do they have the technical skills to be able to build the digital infrastructure? But then also just in terms of money, can I trust you with $1 million? So for us, like, yeah, we got a lot of like, our biggest issue for us, because we're in financial services, we had a hard time banks opening an account for us. All right, because they'll see it as, especially if you're a money service business, it will be challenging. But I think the good thing is when we opened up in Canada, because our office was centralized here, is Canada has a strong governance infrastructure. So one of the things that we did is we set up a board way too early before it was actually reasonable for us to set up a board. So that was kind of like one of the main things. And then secondly, one of the things that I always advise small business, early stage startups is before you hire an accountant, hire a CFO, right? That's my belief, because CFOs focus on financial strategy, accountants just focus on bookkeeping, right? So you don't have a commercialization strategy of like, okay, how am I going to be able to do that? So I feel like, okay, if you're in a space and that you can be able to afford a CFO, a fractional CFO, leverage that before you actually get an accountant, because early stage is more about strategy, from like banking to like things of that nature that you need to be able to use. But I think startup as a whole, for me, I was actually having a separate conversation whereby if I was working a job right now and I was to give someone an advice, is the ROI of quitting right now your job and actually starting a business is a much better decision because of like what we are seeing in terms of like the implications of AI, right? I think in our portfolio company, we have like another portfolio of our investors, like they're looking to be able to lay off almost like 60% of their employees this year, right? So I think these are things that are happening. So it's how do you get ahead of the curve? So I think in terms of like starting companies, AI advisory services to small businesses that don't have the technical infrastructure or different things, but I think getting ahead of the curve, it's painful, it's going to be painful, but I think just getting ahead of the curve will actually help create new businesses, but then also mitigate that risk.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Angela and David and Jonah. I have this question. Each of you have emphasized that personal is powerful, either by walking up to the CEO or having a Jewish sponsor or having 55 coffees with people. Like, personal is powerful, and like it or not, it takes you to that next level. And David, you alluded to this a little bit in your story about not playing the same sports, not skiing and all that. How would you advise, like a black immigrant? Most of us are immigrants here. We didn't school here, we didn't watch the same movies, we don't speak the same social language, we don't ski, we don't even swim, some of us. How would you advise we navigate that social connection in the workplace? Because it is important. It's even harder for a female that doesn't even watch soccer, So it's kind of hard. Would you say we learn those things? Would you say focus on work, let your work speak for you? How would you advise we manage that?
Do you want me to go?
I'll take it because I saw other people do this. Like because I was leading people and I watched them. So me as a leader, I just want you to just show up as your authentic self, because the problem is when you I tried this early on in my career where I tried to assimilate and watch things that I wasn't really interested in. And at the end of the day, I was exhausted. I was tired. That was number one. And number two, I felt like an imposter. Like I was going like, who the hell am I turning into? And I just stopped that. And I probably could have risen farther in my career. I honestly think I could have been a CEO and risen farther in my career. That's what I think if I played that kind of game. But, and I'm not telling other people not to do this, I'm just saying this is what I did. I just wanted to look in the mirror and like what I was looking back at and liked what I was putting out there. And if people didn't recognize the value in what I was bringing to the table, regardless of the results and how hard I worked, then you're losing out on me. End of story. And that was the way how I kind of carried it. You do want to pay attention to some of the social things that are happening around and get to know people and be friendly, but you don't have to completely change who you are just because you want to fit in. That, to me, it's painful. And then what happens is when you get fired, because I've been fired and done that, when you get your ass fired and you've been playing all these games, that firing stings even more. Because you go, oh my gosh, I went to hockey, I got drunk with them, I was doing all of this, and they still fired me, and I produced results. It stings even more. And I felt that. And I said, you know, if I'm going to get fired or displaced, I'd rather get fired for being me than pretending to be someone else. So that's my personal story. I'm not advocating that for anyone else. What I am saying to you is be yourself and make friends while you're there. Try and socialize and make friends with people there, but do not change your values and do not change who you are just because you want to fit in. It is painful, and it is exhausting.
I think I'll add to that. I do it differently. For me, what I usually do is I've learned to try something once before I say it's not for me. I'm not changing my values, right? But if there's things that people are doing at work that, you know, when we have our social hours, like we have social hours at work, we have buddy time sometimes where we play different games during those particular sessions. I try once. I may not be, I've done Jeopardy, I've done Heads Up. It's not something I was brought to in Kenya, but I am a team player, right? I'll try something once. I've tried to ski once. I've tried to skate once, and it didn't go very well, but it was an experience, and I'm here, so I want to also try some Canadian experiences, and you know, just experience it for myself, right? Because sometimes I find like if we just stick to what we know and we are here, it makes it hard for other people to approach you in different, you know, just different chatter, like by the ice cooler, right? One of the things that I have also done, as I didn't used to do this when I was younger in my career, but now that I'm in that senior role, I have to pay attention to what's happening around the world because it does affect my job at the end of the day. So when we have our leaders meeting, and it's almost like a state, where is a state of a business report, I'm able to comment on those things. I never used to watch, you know, news in that depth, but now I look at highlights, right? I can go to different places that give you highlights of what's happening in the world, and if I see it's connected to my business line or to my company, I go in depth into that space, right? In terms of like my team, sometimes they do, you know, there was one who had invited me for karaoke. I tried to sing once, and my friend told me never to quit my full-time job. I was like, you know what? Yeah, why not? It's just one of those things that I have to do. I'm not changing who I am, but I'm being a team player. And sometimes, especially in this country, I find that takes you a little bit far when you're isolating yourself from all the things that people are doing at work. to be able to do that. But do it, but at the end of the day, you still remain you, who you are as a person, so you remember who you are. But I would say try something once. It doesn't hurt. It just shows that you're part of a team.
Thank you. Okay, I think we'll take one more. We're just about, we don't want to get kicked out of here, so let's do one more and then, yeah. Yeah, go.
Okay. Hi. Thank you very much for your talks. So my question is more about negotiation. I don't know how many people have tried to negotiate their salaries, either starting or maybe you're already in the role and you're trying to ask for a raise. So if either of you have, maybe Angela and David, if you have any advice, tips on that, especially if I'm just starting the role, I want to say, I want this amount. Sometimes they say just think of the largest amount of money possible, but that doesn't usually work. So either when you're starting or when you're asking for a raise, how to go about that negotiation skills.
I've done both, right? When I moved from Nova Scotia to here, I knew the salary ranges for the type of role are going to be vastly different. So what I did with those 55 coffees that I had, what I did is, one of my last questions was, so these are I never asked them about their salaries, never do that, right? What I did was I asked them, I'm looking for this type of a role, right? I'm currently right now asking for the range between X and Z, right? Am I overselling myself, or is this the normal range that you see people asking for? And I did that with about 3, 4, 5 people. Then I got the range that the Calgary market is offering, not the one that I was doing. And I'm so glad that I did that, because if I went with the Nova Scotian one, it was like thousands of dollars less than what I was able to do that. So the first thing I think is do your research, get to find out what your worth is first, so that when you're going to an employer and they say, well, we are currently recruiting for people between range X and Z, and X and Y, and you're at Z, you can say, oh, I'm currently interviewing for range Z. Right? But you can also negotiate things like benefits, health benefits. There's now professional development gets thrown in there as well. There's parking for some places. Childcare is also being thrown in some places as well. And see that if that is something that as a full compensation package works for you. But whenever you're going for an interview, always know your worth, because like I say, there's some good employers and there's some who will lowball you, and you'll end up with something that's not within your, it's not financially feasible for you to be working for that particular company in that type of a salary, and you're not happy. Nobody likes working when they're feeling they're undervalued, or they're on sale, right? Because you have the skill sets for that employer. So you do your research and be able to do that. And then the other second part of your question, you asked if you're in the position, can you negotiate up? Yes, I would say, make a report with, like a SWOT analysis for yourself, and, go to your boss and say, hey, I've been working here for XYZ. This is the impact that I have made on this department or this process, and this is how much I have brought to the table. I'm wondering if I can get, 7%, 12% increase in salary. In that position, and sometimes you can negotiate your salary, but you can negotiate your title, and that can help you that. But yes, you have nothing to lose in negotiating or going in and saying this is what my worth is as well.
That's excellent. I would just add one tiny thing to what Angela said. What I've sometimes done is done it through, how you do like a construction project and you get paid X amount if you deliver this, you get paid X amount if you delivered whatever. So what has sometimes worked for me is not so much negotiating the entire salary, but negotiating a certain payout if I deliver these expectations or I deliver these results. Let's come back and revisit my compensation at that point. And sometimes what's happened to me is I might not have got it all in salary. I may have got it in like a one-time bonus for the work that I've been doing. So sometimes you have to be a little bit flexible on top of what Angela said. You have to be a little bit flexible with the compensation that they're actually going to pay you out. And if a one-time bonus works for you rather than salary, that can sometimes be an alternative terms in terms of upping your income for that particular year. And then just one last thing, I just wanted to make clear that I agree with Angela on the whole, like trying things. I didn't completely go into a corner and say, to hell with hockey, get lost, I'm not doing this, I'm not having a drink with you. So I was giving you more of an extreme example, a bit more of a dramatic example, to show you that you don't have to completely change yourself while you're at work. I just think sometimes it's on, to Angela's point, sometimes it's on the culture of the organization as well. You got to suss out that culture as well. Is it an inclusive culture that allows you to experiment and do those types of things? Like companies like ATB and Tangerine, they have good cultures in terms of you wanting to be yourself and going out there and trying different things. So I just wanted to make sure that that was clear.
Wow. All right. Thank you. Thank you all for coming out tonight and for, so was that? Group picture. Oh yeah, we always do that. But yeah, thanks for coming out tonight. For those who are watching online, thank you for sticking with us. I know it's quite late if you're out east. But Dave, Jonah, Angela, thank you so much. Yeah, well, thanks for pouring into this community. Just sharing and just sharing your life experiences. And I think there's a lot of value in people, seeing what black people like us can do, where you guys have gotten to, 19-year-olds in the room, hoping to be like you one day, hoping to start a company one day. So just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Yeah. All right, so before we call it a night, we typically stand here and take a picture. And so maybe it's best we do it now, and then there's still food in the back. We can hang out for a bit as we start to clear out. All right? Thank you. Okay, before I drop the microphone, though, blackprofessionalscanada.ca, that's the website. We are BPC on Instagram, Black Professionals Canada on LinkedIn. Join, and because we send out newsletters, we send out information, and just get plugged in, okay? Thank you very much. Thank you.